Hi, in this video of CSS we'll learn how we can include the CSS along with the HTML. So far we have seen a bit, but here we will cover all the way like what are the different ways of including the CSS with the HTML. So we are going to discuss about the 4 different things. First one is the inline style sheet. Inline style sheet is something where you will write any HTML tag and right after that you will use the style attribute, and inside that you will start writing all the style rules in the CSS syntax. Embedding is something where you will write the CSS code inside the header section of the HTML document inside the style tag. So there we will write all the style rules and those will be applicable for the current HTML page only. So after that, in the body, whichever HTML tag you are putting, either you can use the name selector, ID selector, class selector, universal selector, whatever, but that will be applicable for the current page only. If you want to write a style sheet that should be applicable for all the pages of your website, then you will have to create a separate file with an extension .css, and then you will write all the style rules inside that file. Later, you are having 2 different ways of including those style rules in any HTML page. That is linking and importing. These are the 2 ways which will help us out in getting the style from a separate CSS document and where we will implement that in a current HTML page. So let's see a practical implementation of the different ways how we can link the style sheet with the HTML.
So now in this particular video we'll start working with the inline style sheet. So basically what I'll do, as here you can see there are a couple of tags, that is h1 and h2, and here is the output of these h2 and h1 tag. Now if I want to put the inline style sheet, what I'll do, like the attribute we used to pass in any of the tags so far, here I will use this style as the attribute. After that, here what I'll do, I'll just put some of the values as I was doing in the previous video where we just saw the simple example. Like here, if I want to change the color of this h1, what I'll do, I'll say color to blue. As soon as I'll do that, you can see the color of this particular text, this particular heading is turned to blue. Similarly, if I want to change the font family, again I can come to font family attribute here in this style, and I will use any of, like in the previous video we use MS. That is the same I'm going to do here as well, and here you can see the difference. So basically the way to write the attribute and the value will remain same, but the thing is we will actually pass the value in the style attribute right where I'm putting the tag. Since this one is inline, if I'll put any other h1 tag, these styles will not be applicable in that heading. Like this is a sample text. So here you can see the another heading is not getting affected with the inline because this style attribute is particularly for this h1 only, so it will not be applicable for any other h1 tag. Now if you want to put some common designs for all the h1 available on this web page, as we have done in the initial video as well, so for that what I'll do, I'm just removing this style from here and I'll come back to the head section where I'll put the style tag. Just make a good practice to pass the type attribute here where I'll put a value text /CSS, and here since I want to pass it for heading, I will use the values like color to blue, font family to MS. So now all the h1 available in this particular page will be turned to the same style set which I have used for the h1 tag, and similarly you can make it for any other tag you want. There are different selectors which I will cover in our next video, but here I'm just telling you what are the different ways of putting these style things in the web page. Alright, so here first thing was the inline style sheet, and here I'm actually embedding the style sheet inside the head section of the same HTML document. Let's put some styles for the H2 as well before proceeding. So here color is green and text decoration is underlined, so it is coming with the underline. Now these are the two ways in which you can put the things in the same HTML document. Remember, if you have passed some of these styles by embedding, and if you want to make some changes in a particular thing, again you can come to H1 tag. For example, if for this particular H1 I want underline, so what I can do, I can actually come and still can pass the inline style sheet. So here what I'll do, I'll say text decoration underline. So not the first H1 but the second H1 will be decorated with the underline like this. Similarly, if you want to change some of the attribute which is being defined initially, like for example, I said like all the H1 will be having color blue and the text MS, but maybe if you want particularly this H1 should not come in MS, then you can just pass the same attribute again here, and that will override the previous one. It is like the inheritance if you are from the programming background, that this one is the parent and this one is the child specific values. So if there is nothing defined, then it will take it from the parent, otherwise it will take its own value if you want to make some changes. Like font family, here I want to put it Arial. So I'll come here and you can see this is the Arial text. So this is about the embedding and inline style sheet. But if you want, you can just cut all these style attributes from here, and I'll take another document where I'll save them all. And now let's save it in the same folder. Like currently I'm working in the CSS folder, inside which you have the demo.html, and inside this I will save it as styles.css. and here you can find the CSS extension as well, so you can choose it from here as well. So now I have saved this CSS. Alright, so now next thing what I'll do, so let's come back to the browser, and if I'll refresh, you can see only the inline style sheet where I said font family Arial and text decoration underline is still there. Rest all the styles are gone away. So what can I do is I can actually link this style sheet into this HTML document, and for that what I'll do, I'll come to the head section again, and here I will pass the link tag. I don't want to put anything inside it, so I just close it. It will be a non-pair tag or empty tag. And now link relation. Relation is that I'm going to use a style sheet. So link relation is a style sheet. Again, you can specify type, which type of text this linked file is going to bring here. It will be the CSS, again the MIME type, and href, the most important thing, that's the hyper reference. So both are in the same folder, and inside that CSS there's a file called styles.css. So again I'm passing the relative path out here. So maybe if it's done, I should get these styles back. So let's refresh it here. So now I get all these styles which I have defined in this style. So these are the different ways using which you can actually use a style sheet inside an HTML document. So here we covered the three ways, that is the inline style sheet like this, the embedding style sheet where we put the style tag in the same HTML document, and this is the linking where I created a separate style sheet and then I pass the hyper reference here in the link tag, and here is how it is working. So this is all about the different ways of using the style sheet in HTML.
Hi, in this video series, we are going to begin a very important topic for a newcomer who wants to learn the web designing. And here we are going to discuss about the CSS. CSS is basically a technology which is very much popular and is very indispensable for the web designing concepts. Nowadays, a lot of concepts like Bootstrap are totally based on the CSS. So here, before getting started by learning with the CSS concept, a candidate must be familiar with HTML. And after that, you must have a web browser and a text editor. Since here I am a Windows user, so I will use the text editors, which is very much free of cost, and any web browser of your choice like Chrome and Firefox. So once you have a knowledge of HTML, once you have these basic softwares like the text editor and the web browser, you are good enough to start with the CSS. So let's discuss about what this CSS is all about. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Style sheet is the thing in which we are going to work. So basically style sheet means a list of a document, means a document which is containing a list of all these styles which you want to define for a particular element on the web pages. For example, if you want to make a particular design for the heading tags, you can create a sheet of those styles. Similarly, for all the different tags, maybe the controls as well. So this style sheet will help you out in making this set of style rules. Secondly, there is something called cascading. Cascading means a flow. Whenever you will make changes on the top, it will be flown in the downwards direction. That means if you will make any changes in the style sheet, the changes will definitely be reflected in the web pages as well, the pages who are using those particular style sheets. By the time we will start explaining about the working or the functionality of CSS, we will get to know like how we can make the different sheets for different documents for the style sheet and the HTML. And when we will make some changes in the style sheet, the changes will be reflected to the HTML as well. Is used to control the style of a web document. As I said, it will contain a list of styles for the specific element, or as per your choice, like you just want to make some list of styles and on any particular element you can apply that. Like for example, if I have designed some font family, the text color or something for a specific text, I can apply this particular setting to a heading also, to the paragraph as well. Handles the look and feel of the web page. As I said, it will contain the exact layout of a particular page. So how you want your page to be look, you can make that all inside this CSS. And now let's discuss about the advantages. Since we have HTML and using HTML as well, I can customize the look and feel of my web page. For example, I have a font tag in which we have an attribute like color, the family means the font phase, or some more attributes. So using that particular tag, I can customize the appearance of any text. So why should we go for CSS? So let's have an idea of that. Here we are talking about the advantage. It saves time. Saves time means you can design the set of style rules in a single document and later you can apply that in throughout your website. So every time when you are adding a new web page, you don't particularly have to define the set of styles again and again in a specific HTML tag. Page loads faster. When you add the HTML and you keep on adding the different tags like font or maybe some more with some more attributes, the HTML documents will be heavier, and by the time the HTTP protocol will take that particular text to the web browser, the more HTML will take more time to get loaded. If you will make a separate separate document for CSS, the amount of HTML on a particular page will be lesser and it will be faster in loading. Easy maintenance. Since all these styles have been defined in a single document, So if I want to make some changes in my website appearance, I can do that by changing a single document, and all the changes will be reflected to all the web pages in my website. Superior styles to HTML. Some of the tags are actually not containing the more styles for the appearance. For example, if you take H1 tag or any heading tag doesn't have a property or attribute which can change the text color. For example, if you want to say H1 color is equal to red, that is not going to work definitely. So using these styles, you can actually make the attributes applied on a particular tags which basically doesn't have those attributes. Multiple device compatibility. That means if you're creating a web page with the CSS, that particular web page will be compatible with any system like the different operating systems as well as with the different kind of devices, maybe laptop, desktop, mobile devices. It will be applicable to all. So these are the advantages of working with the CSS. So now, using all these benefits, in the next video onwards, we will start implementing the concept of CSS practically. Now, let's get started with the basic implementation of CSS. So here, in this practical implementation, we will see how we can start working with the basic CSS with the existing HTML document. So let's get started by implementing the CSS in the HTML document.
So for getting started with a very basic example of CSS, what I'm going to do is I will put the style tag in the head section. In HTML, we have already learned that the head section is basically meant for putting the title or for any resources. And here I am going to use my style as a resource. So for that, what I'll do, I'll start the thing with the style tag, and within this style tag I can also put an attribute which will tell the MIME type, since it will not be a basic HTML syntax. So in general way, what we do, we will put some MIME type text/CSS. Alright, now inside this style tag you can put the style attributes. Alright, so what I'll do, I'll put for the couple of tags here, let's say for the H1 tag. So for H1, what I want to do is I want to show it with the color blue, and I want to show it in the MS font. So for that I'll say font family :MS. So basically you can observe what I'm doing. H1 is the element for which I'm putting this style. Now inside these delimiters, these curly braces, I will put all these style things what I want to put. And then inside this I will put the different attributes, such as color is the attribute, blue is the value. So I will separate the attribute and the value with a colon. And similarly, if you want to pass multiple attributes, you will pass semicolon as a separator. So you can just put semicolon again, and in case you want to put some more styles, you can continue by putting that. So this is all what I want to do for H1. Similarly, let's put one more, that is H2. And here I'll just put one style, that is I want the color should be green. Alright, so what happened when I'll come to the body and I'll simply put H1 tag with the text like welcome, and in H2 I'll put another text easy learning. Alright, so let's come back to the browser, and when I'll refresh this, you can see the H1 tag is coming with two attributes, that is the color blue and the font is Comic Sans MS, while the H2 tag is simply coming in the green color with the default font and all the default attributes. So this is one of the way of putting this style. In our coming videos, I'll show you what are the different ways to style the HTML document, like whether it will be inline, the outside some file, or like embedding the style in this way. But this is all for now.
Hi, in this video of CSS we'll discuss about giving the styles to the font. Like if you want to give the font a different color or some style rules like the font family you want to change, if you want to give some styles like make it bolder, make it italic or something, you can go for the fonts in these styles. So let's see what all different options are available while working with the fonts in CSS.
So here now, with the reference of font style in CSS, I have taken a number of paragraph tags, and in each p tag you can see there are different options available for the fonts. Like in the first one, where I have used font family attribute of CSS, I have passed three different kind of fonts, that is SMS, monotype cursiva and courier. So it will give the priority to the first font, but if the first font is not installed in your system, then the second font will be applied. And again, if second font is not available in your system, then we'll go for the third font, and if none of the form is available in your system, then the default font will be shown to the user. But in this particular case, in my case, I do have MS, at least everyone has this particular font. So the first font will be applied to this text called changed font family. And here you can see in the output, you can see this particular font is nothing but MS. Similarly, if through CSS you want to pass some styles, like you want to make any particular text as italic, you can use this CSS class font style, rather not CSS class but the attribute. So font style is the attribute here and the value is italic. Let's say if you want to make the text italic at the runtime in any particular event, you can't add the italic tag at that particular time. So that's why we should learn how to make a particular text italic using the CSS attribute. So font style italics, and here this is italics is the text. So you can see this is italics. Alright, so this is the font style italic which I have applied for this particular text. Similarly, we do have a variant here for the font where I'll use the attribute font variant, and the value is small caps. You can make it none, which is by default. So what it will do, all the capital letters which are available here, like this is small caps example. So TSCE, the respective capital words will be shown in the capital, but all the alphabets who are available here in small cases, in small letters, will be shown in the smaller caps like this. Alright, so you can see the size of these fonts is smaller than the caps size form. Alright, so this is how you can use the small caps. Similarly, if you want to make it bold, any particular text, you can use the attribute font weight at that particular time, which will make it bold, bolder, and maybe you can put some numeric values as well, depending if your particular browser supports that font options. Alright, so like here you can see font weight is bold. If you want to make some nested text even more bolder, you can put it bolder as well. Now next thing which comes here is font size. Font size is here, like you can see 30 pixels. We do have the different measurement units as we have learned. So here I am passing the unit as pixel. So the font size of this particular text will be nothing but 30 pixel, as you can see here. Alright, similarly you can increase or decrease size as per your requirement. Alright, now it's 40. So let's make it 40. Alright. Similarly, if you want to use small and large, like in HTML we do have the small tag and the big tag. But here if you want, you can use the font size attribute in that particular situation, and you can use the value small and large. So comparatively to the default text, this this text will be in the smaller font, and similarly comparatively to the current text, this particular text will be larger. As you can see here, this is smaller in size while this one is larger in size. This is your default font size. Alright, so comparatively you can check, like this one is small and this one is large. And here I have used the shorthand notation for passing the different font styles and a single line. Alright, like font, colon, italic, small caps, bold, 50 pixel, Georgia. Alright, so this is the font family which I am working with. This is the size, this is the font weight, this is font variant, this is font style. Alright, so all the different attributes which we have used so far have been applied in a single line, and this one is the shorter way to style the text. So while working with CSS, you can use these various options in order to style your texts.
In this video of CSS, we'll discuss about giving these styles to the text. When I talk about text, that means if you want to make some underline under a particular text, or if you want to change the direction or the spacing between the letters or the words, and so much more things. So let's see a practical implementation where we will give the possible styles to the texts.
So for giving these styles to the text, here what I am doing, I have taken several paragraph tags, and in each I am just going through the different changes for the text. Like in the first paragraph, what I did, I used the color attribute of style sheet and I have passed any particular value. Like we have already seen, like we have different options of passing the color. Here I am using the keywords and simply I pass red as a color. You can use RGB or any hexadecimal way to pass the color format. So this particular paragraph will be of red color. Now here when I say direction is right to left, that means it will be aligned to the right hand side. Similarly, when I talk about the letter spacing, that means the space between each letter of this paragraph will be of 5 pixel, while in the next one when I am passing word spacing, it will be 5 pixel, means the space will be between the words, not between the letters. And when I say text indent, that means this paragraph will not start from the absolute left position, but it will take the space of 1 centimeter from the left side. So let's save this particular page and come to the browser. And here when I will refresh it, you can see all the things out here. Like this is the first paragraph with the red color. This is right to left, where we pass RTL, that is right to left. This is a paragraph with 5 pixel letter spacing, so you can see there is a big gap between the letters, while here you can see there is some abnormal space. Like here you can see there is less space between the words, but here it is more because I have passed 5 pixel space. And finally this one is the indent, where I pass 1 centimeter indent from the left side. So as I said, it is having a gap of 1 centimeter from the left corner, and then the paragraph will begin. Alright, so here let's cover some more examples for the text. Like here you can see I have used the different options regarding the text, like text decoration. Alright, so in text decoration I have several things, like I can make it underline, line through, overline and blink. That line through means the line will be passing over the text, and overline means it will be up, means on the up side of the text, while it will show you the blinking text. So everywhere I am using the text decoration attribute with the different possible values. So let's come to the browser now, and here you can see the underline, line through, overline and blinking text. As here you can see blinking is not functioning, so it depends on the different browser whether they support the text blinking or not. So for now maybe this Chrome is not supporting the text blinking. Now let's go for the another attribute for the text, that is the text transform. And here I'm using a simple case, like when I'm writing a paragraph, I'm just using my default way of writing. but using these different values I can actually make it in the different way, like capitalize, uppercase and lowercase. So let's save it and come to the browser. So here you can see in capitalize what will happen. The first letter of each word will be in the caps, rest will be in the small. But here in the uppercase and lowercase, as the name says, the complete text will be either in the uppercase or in the lowercase. So this is how you can work with the text transform attribute for the text styling. And finally, we have the attribute called text shadow, where I have passed three values, that is 4 pixel, 4 pixel and blue. That means the shadow will be 4 pixel right, 4 pixel down and will be of blue color. So when I'll save and will come here, you can see there is a blue shadow in the background which is moved away a bit, right? So it is 4 pixel right and 4 pixel down to the actual text. Alright, I can just show you one more example, like I made it 6 pixel, 4 pixel. So when I'll refresh, you can see it is moved bit more towards the right. Alright, so its first one is for the right position, second one is for the down position, and third one is the color of the shadow, right? Now if you want to make the shadow a bit blurred, you can pass some more pixel for the shadow. So here I will say it is 8px, that is 8 pixel. So I'll refresh and here you can see it is giving me more pleasant effect, right? So it is 8 pixel of the shadow. So these are all the things which you can do while working with the text in CSS.
In this video of CSS, we will talk about layers. Layers, as the name says, will provide you some number of layers one over another. So basically it will give you the options, or it will give you a look and feel of the third coordinate, that is the Z index. Like for now we have two coordinates, that is horizontal is x-axis, vertical is y, and this one using the layers options you will get the Z index as well. That will give you a look and feel of one div over another div and so on. So let's see a practical implementation where we are going to implement the layers in CSS.
So as far as layers are concerned, here I have placed three different divs which will be behaving as a layer, and let's see what all attributes are there. So all three divs are of different color, like green, red and yellow, with the same dimensions, mean the same height and width, that is 300 width and 100 height, and all are having absolute positioning, which we have already discussed. And accordingly I have placed them in a different position, like top 0 pixel, left 120, similarly red is having top 40, left 80, and yellow is top 80 and left 40. So accordingly they will be placed. But since they are layer, so I have to tell like which layer will be above which particular one. So that particular thing will be told by the last attribute out here, that is the Z index, and it will actually tell you the sequence. That means Z index 1 means first of all it will be yellow, then above yellow I will put red because its index is 2, and above red I will put green because its index is 3. So 3 will be at the top, red will be after green, and yellow is at the bottom. So let's save it, and here you can see the output. Alright, so green is at the top, red and then yellow. If you will make some changes in the sequence, let's say I want to put red at the top, so I will make it 3 and I will make green as 2. So when I will save, you will see that red is at the topmost position. Alright, so these are the things which you can do while working with the third layer, means the third index. So these are the things which you can do while working with the third axis, that is the Z axis, while working with layers in CSS.
Now in this particular video of CSS, we will talk about giving these styles to the links. When I say links, it is hyperlink. So as we know, using the anchor tag of HTML, we can create any text or image as a hyperlink, but here particularly we will talk about the text, where when I will make any text as a hyperlink, it would be of blue color with the underline. If I want to give some changes like in the color or whether I want to put the underline or not, I can do some styling with the links as well. So let's see a practical implementation where on the different events of a hyperlink I can design a different color. I can put a different color or some different formatting as well. So let's start the practical implementation where I will treat the links in a different way. So let's start a practical now.
Alright, so for decorating the hyperlink, that is the anchor tag, what I have done, I have taken the style tag over the head section of HTML, and there I put first of all the anchor tag, means the named selector for the style. Alright, so here for all the anchor tag what I have done, text decoration is none. As we know, by default the hyperlinks are having the underline, but by default I don't want underline should be there with any hyperlink, so I made it none. After that, for the different purposes I am using the different colors. For example, anchor link means by default the color of the hyperlink will be red, means the text will be red by default as it comes blue, right? Visited means once you visit that particular link, then it will be grayish color. However, when you will put the mouse over it, then at that particular time it will be pink. When you will click, it will be green. Alright, so let's save it, and I'll put an anchor tag here in the body, that is the href, like I want to go for just a sample text. Alright, so let's save it. Let's come to the browser, and here as you can see, when it is the text, if the hyperlink is being here, it is of red color. I put the mouse over it, it is becoming pink, right? Because I said hover, it's pink. Alright, when I will click, it is green, and here I reached. Now since this particular link is visited, now when I'll come back, you can see it is of grayish color, gray, pink, green, that's it. So since the particular page is already visited, it will not be in red color again. Alright, so this is how you can work with the basic of hyperlink. Now one more thing is, when I am putting the mouse over it, I want the hyperlink should be there. So in hover, what I can do, I can add one more style, that is the text decoration is underline. So let's refresh, and now here you can see when I am putting the mouse over it, it is being underlined. Alright, so these are the things which you can do with the anchor tag, that is with the hyperlink, while working with the CSS.
In this video, we will discuss about passing the styles to the list. When we learned the list in HTML, we got the list like the definition list, unordered list or ordered list, which were either giving some bullet or a number figure just before the list. But if I want to give some different styles, I can go for the list options in CSS as well. Options like, if I don't want any bullet or number before any list item. Whenever you are adding a list item, it is coming one after another in a vertical manner. But what if I want to get them all in a horizontal way or in a thumbnail? So we can use some style options here in order to make our list more attractive and look different than a normal list. So let's start the practical where we'll try to manipulate the appearance of the list now.
Alright, so here in list things, what I have done in the beginning, like this is the default list pattern which we have learned in the HTML. So using UL, that is unordered list, or OL, that is ordered list, you can just start putting some list things, and here I'm using the nested list. So when you will be watching this in the browser, how it will come, like firstly it will be tea, coffee, soft drinks, and inside soft drinks you will get these options. So let's save it, and here you can see, like first of all they are coming with disk, and inside that it is circle. Alright, and we know, like using the attributes called type, you can pass the values like disk, circle, or square. Now you can do the same things using CSS also. So what we can do, using list style type, this attribute inside the style tag, you can pass which particular kind of bullet you want. So here you can see I have used all the three ones like square, disk, and circle. So This is how also you can change the type of square in each of your list items. Rather than passing that in UL, I will pass the style type, list style type here in the li tag. So let's see that. Like first you can see this is square, disc, circle. So this is how you can create them. Similarly, for ordered list also, you can use the list style type with the different values like lower Roman, lower alpha, upper alpha, and numbers which are default. So you can just make these different values with the list style type, and here you can see that the lower Roman, lower alpha, upper alpha. Alright, so by default when you create a list, each element or each item I should say comes in a different line. But if you want to create the inline list like this, you can simply just do one thing, that is here in each unordered list you can write float left. As soon as you will start writing float left in each list item, they will all come in the same line. The reason why I am using width 10% because I don't want any congestion with the list item. I want to give them proper width so that it will be easy for the user to get the elements. So width is nothing with the inline thing, it's just for the better appearance of the list items, and here float left for each list item will give you the list in single line. But if you don't want any bullet out there, like I don't want these things either horizontal or in vertical list, what you can do, right here in the list tag, that is either unordered or ordered list tag, you can simply say style list style none. Alright, so as soon as you say list style none, so none of the type list style type will appear before the list items. As here you can see there are elements available, but there is nothing like any alphabet or any bullet specified before them because the list style is none. So these are the different implementations that you can make while working with CSS in list items.
Now, in this video of CSS3, we will talk about the animations in it. So far, when we were doing the transformation, maybe 2D or 3D transformation, you were not getting that exact picture. Maybe it was something like if it is rotated, you may be not getting how it is getting rotated. But using the animation, you can get some animated things as well. For example, you may get a moving text using the animation. You may get some rotational boxes of div tag obviously using the animations. So here what we will do, we will just set a starting position and the finishing position, and this animation will take us between that particular path. Alright, so let's see a practical where we will put some basic animations using CSS3.
Alright, so now let's hear it for the animation. So let's start with a very basic example where, like all the previous videos, most of the previous videos which we were doing is I'm creating a box with the width 150, height 150, means it is a square shape, background color red. Alright, so it is like a normal box, but after that it starts with the animation thing. So what are the things out there? First thing is we have to put the name of animation, because there could be number of divs, there could be number of element where you want to perform animation of different type. So for specifying each animation, you will give it a unique name. Like here, I have taken the name example. Now after example, it is a name. Like after that, it is about for how many duration you are preparing this animation. So for me, I'm taking it 4 seconds. Now in these 4 seconds, what all I want to do, so that we'll have to set by using the keyframes. And when you specify keyframes, you will have to tell also like which particular example, means which particular animation, because here I have given the name. So you will have to specify for which particular element you are going to perform this keyframe thing. So I'm doing it for the example. What I want to do, I will start the color transformation, like the background color I will change it from red to yellow. Alright, so since you can see background color is already red, so I will start it from red, so both will get mixed, and then I will change the color to yellow in 4 seconds. Alright, so as you can see, it is for that particular div whose id is my div. So in body I only have one div with the id my div. So let's save it, come to the browser and refresh it. So in the 4 seconds of time, this box will transform itself from red to yellow. As soon as the transformation is over, it will come back to its original one because I have given a default background color to this div, that is red. Alright, so again I will refresh. In 4 seconds it will come from red to yellow, and once it is done, it will come back to its default one. So this was just about the keyframes thing where I changed the background color. Similarly, you can change this position also, whatever you want. So now in this second example, I'm going to add some more things. Here the animation name and duration will remain same, but I'm going to make some changes. Like in the previous one, it was starting from red and finishing with yellow. But if you want to take it from red to green by passing some of the colors, you can do that as well. So what I'm doing here, I'm using percentage thing right here. So at 0% means at the very beginning, the background color of example means for this particular animation will start from red. Once the 25% of the time will take place, 25% means the 1 second. Alright, it is because it's total 4 seconds. So when the 25% of the time will passed, I will change it to yellow. Again, when 50% will be over, it will be blue, and then at the 100% means when it is completed, it will turn into green. So I'm just making it from red to green by passing the colors like yellow and blue. So still I have that div, my div out here in the body. So let's save it, come to the browser, let's refresh it. So you can see, alright. So let's refresh it, starting from red, yellow, blue and green. Alright, so comparatively you can see yellow is staying for lesser period of time because only from 0 to 25 it is being there, but from 50 to 100 it's blue. So the transformation between the blue and green is comparatively slower. Alright, so this is how it is happening, and once it is done, it is again coming back to red, which is the default color. So now, so far we were just making the changes in color. Let's see what all we can do. So let's make some changes in this particular code so that we will be able to make the changes in the position as well. So as here, all the things are same, like the height, the width, the background color, the example, the name of the animation and the duration. Just one thing is more added, that is position. Because obviously I'm going to change the position, so I will have to tell like according to what I'm going to make the changes. So it is relative positioning. So whatever changes you will do, it will be relatively to the previous change. So at the 0th percent means from the very beginning, it will be left 0, top 0, means it will be at the topmost position. Now after that, when it is 25% done, it is yellow in color, and it will move 200 pixel from left. Alright, means it will move towards right to 200 pixel. When it is 50% done, it is still 200 pixel left, but it will come 200 pixel from the top. That means it will move down to 200 pixel. When 70% will be done, it is 0%, means it is going towards left in the same height. And when 100% will be done, it will be to its original position. That is, it started from 0, 0, it will be at 0, 0. Alright, so let's save it, come to the browser, make the changes. You see, it is moving. Alright, it is not getting repeatedly, but yes, it is moving. Like this is 0, 0, now 0, 200, 200, 200, 200, 0 and 0, 0. Alright, so that is about the left and the top values which I was reading out. Now if you want to make some delay in the animation, you can add animation delay. Alright, so when I add animation delay 2 seconds, that means after 2 seconds the animation will start taking place. Alright, so let's save it. Let's see how the changes are done. So after 2 seconds, you see it has started moving. Alright, let me refresh it. 1, 2, and now it started. Alright, so this is about the delay. Now you see, like once it is done, it is stopped. If you want to make it repetitive, you can add one more option out here. Let's see what is that, and that is animation iteration count. Here I set it 3. Alright, so animation iteration count is 3, so it will go on for 3 times. Alright, so let's see. After 2 seconds it will start. So this is the 1 cycle, this is the 2nd cycle. Delay will be only for the 1st time, and this one is the 3rd cycle. Alright, now it is done. So if you want, you can also write infinite or any particular number. So let's refresh after 2 seconds. Alright, so it is 1, 2, 3. It's not going to stop obviously after 3 as well, and it will keep moving unless you make some changes or you do whatever. Alright, okay, now there is something more called the direction. So animation direction, you can make it reverse also. Alright, so let's save the changes, come to the browser, and now after 2 seconds it will start in the reversed direction. Alright, you can also make it alternate. So once it will be in the correct direction, next time it will be reversed. So I'm changing it both the places, it is alternate. So first time it will go to the actual position, actual direction, and next time it will just reverse. Alright, so it will be alternate. Once it is single, it means clockwise, second time it is anti-clockwise. Alright, so these are the things. Like obviously when it comes to animation you can do a lot of things out there, but yeah, this is some of the basics using which you can start planning what all you want while working with the animations.
Now in this video of CSS3, we are going to cover a very important and interesting concept of it, that is the 2D transformation. Basically when I say 2D transformation, that means that is only the x-axis and the y-axis which will participate in all the transformation. So here we will use the methods like skew, rotate, translate, and some more functions are there which will help us out in making the transformation along with the x and the y-axis. So let's start a practical implementation and see what is all here for CSS3 regarding the 2D transformation.
Alright, so now in 2D graphics, what we are going to do, we will take a couple of divs. One will remain intact and same, while in second div we'll do the required changes. So let's see what is all there in the div. The height, width is set, background color is set, and border is set. So obviously it will look like a box, as you can see. Now after this, what I'm going to do is, for that particular div who's being decorated with the ID my div, I'm going to use the rotate method. So, and what we are going to do, we are going to perform a common thing in all, that is I'm going to rotate them with 20 degree. So you can see there are a couple of divs. This is one div which will just contain the styles from this class, while this div will take the styles from this class as well and from my div as well. So let's save the changes and come to the browser. Let's see what is all there. So you can see, like here, this one is rotated to the 20 degree, while this one is having the default layout. Now we can also do that in the reverse direction by putting the minus symbol, that is minus 20 degree now. So you can see now it is from this particular position, right? So depends like how you want to rotate, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you want to do clockwise, just pass any degree, or in anti-clockwise just pass minus symbol along with that. Now similarly, you do have one more method here called skew, in which I'm going to skew with x-axis or y-axis. So I'll do it with skew x 20°. That means it will be skewed using the x-axis only. So skew x and x. So now here you can see the x-axis is parallel still, means it is same, but here it is being skewed. All right, the whole thing is being skewed, including the text inside it. Similarly, you can skew it on the basis of y-axis. So I'm using skew y now. All right, so you can see the y-axis, that is the vertical ones, are the same, but the x-axis is changed to 20°. All right, and now using skew only, it will be taken from both the sides. All right, means skew x and y both will be there. All right, so these are the things which you can perform in 2D graphics. You can just transform it on the basis of different shapes and sizes, but when you will do the same things including the animation, you can see them moving in the same way. So we'll do the animation in our coming video, but this is all about the 2D graphics or 2D transformation in CSS3.
Now in this video we are going to cover the 3D transformation. As in the previous video we saw like how the transformation took place along the x and the y axis. Here when I'll talk about 3D, that means the z axis will also be in the picture. So whatever the transformation will take place using the method like skew, translate, rotate, that will go across the x, y and z axis as well. So let's see a practical implementation of performing the 3D transformation in CSS3.
So likewise, we use the rotate function in the 2D transformation. Here I'm going to use the rotate x, rotate y or rotate z in the 3D. So depends in how many degree you want to rotate it. You will just pass the axis around which you want to do the rotation. Rest, again I'm using a div, which is nothing but a box, pink color box with the height 200 pixel, with the height 100 pixel and width 200 pixel. And again there is a special div in which I'm performing the rotation. So this is the normal div with straight box, and this is the my div in which all the rotation will take place. So let's save it, come to the browser and refresh. So you can see this is rotated to 150° using the x-axis. So the whole text is being rotated as well right after that. All right, it is being rotated along with the box. Now it is rotated using x-axis. You can do the same using the y-axis also. So rotate y. So now you can see the whole rotation is take place now according to this axis. Initially it was using the x, now it is taking the y. All right, so this is rotate y. It is still written x, but now as you know, like I'm using rotate y, so let's make it rotate y axis. All right, so this is y. All right, similarly you can do the, because it is 3D, there is z axis also, there is z axis, so you can use rotate z as well. So now the rotation will take place as per the z. So let's save it, come to the browser, and here you can see the third dimension of it. All right, so these are, as I said, like these are the things which I'm just using it in the transformation. If you will create a storyboard using the animation, you can see them, you can feel the animation and the transformation taking place. All right, so in our next video we will learn about the animation, but this is all about the 3D transformation using CSS3.
In this chapter of CSS, we will discuss about the colors. Colors are basically one of the very important aspects whenever we talk about the formatting or giving some attractive look to our web page. So we will learn how and what are the different ways of passing the color for a specific element of the HTML. So here we have 4 different ways of doing the same. First is passing the hexadecimal code, short hexadecimal code, RGB, absolute and keywords. As we know, like whenever we talk about a color, all the colors are made up of three basic colors, that is red, green and blue. So this RGB combination here will help us out in forming the different colors which we can make. So hexadecimal, short hex code and RGB absolute, that is the red, green, blue absolute, and the keywords. Keywords will help us out in writing the name of a specific color. So here is a short example. Like the first one is hex code, where we can see, like I'll start with hash and then I will follow 6-digit value. Alright, that will be from 0 to F anything. Alright, like if I'll put 0 means red, green, blue, all are not participating in this thing, so it is going to be black. The first two is for the red. As you can see, when I put F in the first two, it is red, remaining are 0. Similarly, if red and blue are 0, means first two is for red, next two is for green and last two is for blue. So here the mid two is for green, so it is going to give you green. Similarly, if you have F in the last and 0 for the remaining, it is going to be blue. Now let's come to the short hexadecimal, where in spite of passing 6-digit value, we'll pass 3 values only, but again followed by hash itself. So 000 means none is participating, that's black. Again, first for red, second for green, and third one is for blue. Then it is RGB absolute, where I will use this RGB function and will pass 3 different parameters. The first number is for red, second is for blue, second is for green, and third is for blue. So again, this is the RGB. The value can vary from 0 to 255. So if I'll pass 255 in the first, that means it's going to be red, second it's for green, third value is for blue. You can pass different values in all the 3 parameters to get the different colors available. Keywords. Keywords means you can write the name of the color. That is the simplest way, but it will restrict some of the color variants. Like for example, if you write red, it will give you absolute red, not any other variant which is somehow equal to red. Alright, so this is the keywords. If you want to make some more color combinations, you can use these things. So whenever you want to give the color to the text or to particular background, you can write one of these way of passing the color. So in our next video onwards, we will start working with the colors in a different manner. So far, when we were discussing about CSS, we covered the colors in that. So there we checked what are the different ways of passing a color with the name or using the hexadecimal code. Now here in CSS3 again we are discussing about the colors, but here we will check something different. Like here we will see how to manage the opacity of any particular color, like you want to make it 100% opaque or maybe somewhat transparent. So let's see what all new features are there regarding the colors in CSS3.
So as far as the colors are concerned with CSS3, here we have the same concept as we were having in the normal CSS, that is we can use the RGB in order to create the various colors. Like here you can see the first parameter is again for red, then G, that is green, and then third one is for the blue. But you can also notice there is a fourth parameter out here which is newly added with RGBA, which is in CSS3. So as far as this alpha is concerned, it will tell you about the how transparent or how opaque you want there to be for a color. Alright, so let's save it for now and let's refresh here. So you can see that this is red, green and blue, but not to the extreme. There is some sort of lightness in the color. That's because of the transparency. If I will increase the value out here, minimum it will be 0, maximum it will be 1, and in between you can give you the decimal value. So as you can see, as I increase the value, it is darker in shade. Similarly, if I will give you 1 here, so it will be at its max, that is the proper red, green and blue. So let's save, and you can see this is the actual color, and as less value I'll give, like 0.1, 0.1 and 0.1. So this will be the lightest shade available in the RGB, like this. Alright, so this is about the transparency. Similarly, you can also use the opacity keyword out here in order to set the opacity. Like here you can see I'm doing the similar thing, but here I'm using another style. I'm using similar RGB method, not RGBA, and apart from that I'm using another keyword, that is opacity, and I'm passing the value 0.6. Alright, so when I'll refresh, you can see it is 0.6, and again, like in alpha we were passing 0.3, 0.3, I can do that as well in the opacity. So these are the things, this is how it will be displayed. Another way of passing the values here for the color, we have the HSL, that is hue, saturation and lightness. So basically in the first parameter, that is hue, you can pass the values like 0, 120, 240, 360. You can pass any values in between also, but these are the things which will give you the absolute colors, like 0 and 360 will give you red, 120 will give you green, 240 will give you blue. So as here you can see in this current example, I'm using 120, so that means I'm going to set the green. After that, you can make the changes in the saturation and lightness, like how light you want that particular color. Alright, so let's save it and see the output in the browser. So here you can see green, normal green and dark green, just because of the change in the lightness in the third parameter. So these are the new things, these are the new ways using the colors in the CSS3.
Now let's talk about cursors in CSS. Basically, cursor is nothing but a mouse pointer which you move while scrolling to a particular web page. By default, you get a mouse pointer which is of arrow shape and you move it along. But as per the different situation, you may come across a need like you want to change the mouse pointer as well. Maybe sometime when it's loading, you want the circular rotational mouse pointer. Sometime you are maybe looking for a finger pointer. So we are going to discuss about the different mouse pointers which are available here, and we can use that in the CSS. So let's start the practical now.
So now let's take a very simple example of the cursors, where in a single document itself I have put all the possible values of my mouse cursor. So first one is the auto, means the default one, like your mouse pointer. Now after that you have the plus symbol mouse pointer, that is the crosshair, the default one, pointer. If you want to move the window, that is the different icon, different cursor at that particular time. E-resize, and E-resize means east side, northeast, northwest, depends on the side. If you are resizing a window from any of this side, so that means this is going to be the resize cursor. After that, the text, the cursor which you are seeing right now is the text, weight, which will keep on rotating, depends on the different browser, and help, where it will carry a question mark with itself. So let's come to the browser and refresh. And here, as soon as I'll put the mouse, this is the help, weight, text, resize, you can see it is getting changed every time. Alright, so these are the different ways of passing the cursor. Move, pointer, that is the pointed finger which we use generally for hyperlink, the default one, the crosshair, and the auto. Alright, so these are the different options which you can see while working with cursor, and using any particular option you can put it anytime on your DOM as per the requirement.
Now in this video of CSS we'll discuss about the padding. When I say padding, you must have heard about the padding in cell padding while learning the table tag in HTML, where padding means distance between the text and the border. So here also we are talking about the same padding, where I can manipulate the space between the text to its border. That border distance may be from the top, from the left, from the bottom, as well as from the right. Depends all on our need. So let's see what all we can do while working with the padding options in CSS.
So here in the example of padding, if I'll just mention padding, that means that I'm taking the distance from the text and the border that will be taken from the left and top. But here I can take the distance from any of the side of the padding in the padding, right? So here in this current example, I'm using padding bottom. So that means the distance of the text and the border will be taken from the bottom side. So let's save this, and if I'll come to the browser, here you can see that the distance is right here from the bottom. This one is the 15 pixel while this one is 5%. Similarly, if rather than padding bottom, I'll say padding top at both the places. So you can see the same distance is coming from the top, and very similarly you can do it for the left and right as well. So let's put it left. Alright, so here you can see the distance is being taken from that side, but since the percentage, and now you can see 5% from there. Alright, I can also use padding right, but here as you can see the alignment is already left and the padding is already taken from the right, so it will not work. So first you can try by yourself by putting the alignment to the right, and then you can try padding right. So these are the things which you can take care while putting the padding, while putting any text inside the border. Now in this example you can clearly see that we have the padding different from all the different sides. Like here in the first paragraph I have used padding 15 pixel. That means it will be 15 pixel from all the four sides. But if I will specify like 10 pixel and space 2%, that means from top and bottom it's going to be 10 pixel, and from left and right it's going to be 2%. Similarly, if I'll pass 3 different values, that means the top is going to take the first one, the bottom is going to take the third one, and the left and right will share the middle value. But here you can see we have the different value for all the four sides. So top is 10 pixel, the first one, then right one is 2 pixel, and after that the top and the right are taking, means the bottom and the left are taking the same values, that is 10 and 10. If you want, you can just make the change to check the difference. So I am making the change to 30 pixel. So here the difference is getting increased. Alright, that means the third value is for the bottom, and then this one is for the left one. So these are the different ways of passing the different values of padding for all the different sides inside the border.
In this video we will talk about giving the position to the particular element using the CSS. Now when we talk about positioning in CSS, we have provided with 3 different options of positioning, and those are absolute positioning, relative positioning, and fixed positioning. So as per your requirement, you can choose, like it's all about designing your web page where you want to put a particular element. According to that, you will plan like which particular position you should go for. So let's talk about absolute positioning. Absolute positioning is basically something, as the name says, it's absolute, means here you will have to pass 2 values, that is the x-axis and y-axis value. That is, x-axis means the horizontal one, which will be taken from the left hand side, and absolute positioning from the top, that is vertical, that is the y-axis. So on the basis of the coordinates which you will pass, the particular element will be posted to that location. So as it is mentioned, the element is positioned at the specific coordinates related to your screen top left corner, right? So the top left corner from my side will be taken from the coordinates. 2 values, top and left, can be used along with the position property to move an HTML element. Like for example, if you will pass 0, 0 in the absolute position, it will go at the right top and the left hand side, and if you want to make some changes, you can just keep changing the value, that is the left and the top, to make it on a particular position. Now Next thing is the relative positioning. Relative positioning is something where you will pass again the coordinates, but this time it will be relative to its original position. Like for example, inside a particular div you are putting some text, and inside that only, that's the relative position, you want to make some changes. So you can pass the relative positioning, means you will have to set the mode of the positioning, that is the relative, and then you will pass the numbers like where exactly you want to put. And the last one is the fixed positioning, where you will pass any particular coordinate, and even after that, even if you're scrolling up and down the page, that particular element will remain at that position itself. Like that will be like something like always visible. All right, even if it's a big page you are scrolling up, but that particular element where you have used the fixed positioning is not going to change its position. So let's see a quick practical implementation of all the three available positioning options.
So as far as the positioning is concerned, here in this example I have taken a div in which I have used the position attribute with the value relative. So this one is the relative positioning with the left 80 pixel and top 2 pixel. Let's make it 20. Alright, so when I'll refresh, you can see, alright, that this is the relative positioning. When I talk about relative positioning, though the size of the text is like this much only, but it will occupy the complete width. But if I will make it to absolute, let me change here as well. Alright, so absolute will, first thing is that it will take the text space itself. It will not occupy the complete width which is available for this particular div. Now let's make it relative again. Alright, and after that, to understand it better, what I'll do, I will add one more div right after it. Alright, so what you can observe here, I have placed two divs with the same relative positioning and with the same left and top margin. Alright, so let's see how it is being reflected here. So you can observe like both are coming separately. Alright, let me just change the color as well. So you can see the second one is the relative, means the second div which I just added. Alright, so because I have passed the same left and top values in both the divs, still they are not crossing each other. Why? Because the second one is related to the first one. Relatively it is adjusting its position, but if I will say it absolute, then it is not taking the reference or relevance of any other element of this particular DOM. It will just take the relativity of that particular element inside which this div is existing. So let me make it absolute, and when I'll refresh, you can see it is overlapping this one. Alright, because doesn't matter whether it is overlapping anything or not, when I say it's absolute, it will definitely go to that very point. Alright, and will be rendered over the DOM. So these are the things which you will have to be sure about, the relative and absolute positioning. The third one in the list is the fixed. So let's see that one also. So here I will make it fixed, and I will say this is fixed positioning. Alright, and to increase the page size, I will just add some BR tags. Alright, let's come and refresh. Let me change the position first of all. Absolute, I'll make it 0, 0. Alright, so this is at the very top, and fixed one is left 80, it's fine. Top I'll make it 120, so it will come down. Alright, so this is fixed position. So when I will scroll, you can see this is still there. So this is the fixed positioning, the simplest one without any confusion. It is going to be at the same position. So in case you want something like always visible type of content, you can put it inside the fixed positioning. So these are the three things which we have as far as the positioning is concerned, that is the absolute, relative and fixed with CSS.
in this particular video, we will see how we can change the dimensions of the border as per our requirement so that we can make the boxes of different sizes, maybe smaller or larger. So let's have a practical implementation where we will see about the dimensions using the available CSS options.
So as far as the implementation of the dimension is concerned, here we are going to try some dimension of width 400 pixel and height 100 pixel. So here I am just trying to show you how can you pass the height and width for any particular dimension. So let's save it, and here you can see like, okay, this is the dimension of height 100 pixel and width 400 pixel. As you can see, it is not just started from the corner because the padding, margin, everything is out there. Alright, so because of margin, it's started 10 pixel away. Now let's see how we can make some changes inside it. So basically we can also pass something like the minimum height, minimum width, or maximum height, maximum width. So in that particular context, here in this particular example, I'm passing maximum height. Means doesn't matter the content which you are putting inside, but the maximum height which this particular box will take will be of about 10 pixel. So obviously we have a lot of things here. We have some number of lines. After that, after some line breaks, we have an image. So probably all those things will not be a part of the maximum height 10 pixel, but still the line, the height of that particular box will remain as it is. So let's refresh and see. So here you can clearly see like this is the 10 pixel height, but still all the content is not inside that. So if you want to restrict in any particular circumstances, you can use the minimum height or maximum height. Similarly, I can do that for minimum height as well. So minimum it will be 10 pixel, but maximum it can take up to the content. Alright, so now you can see the content is here, so the box size got changed. And mind it, the image is outside the paragraph obviously, so it will not, the box will not cover the image part. Similarly, let's say minimum height is 100 pixel, and let's remove some of the things inside. Like I will remove a couple of lines, I'll refresh, but even you see the content is less, but as I said, the minimum height is 100 pixel. It will take 100 pixel whether it is required or not. And very similarly, we have the concept for minimum width and maximum width as well. So let's say I'll say maximum width is 400 pixel. I'll just remove this minimum from here. I'll just take the default 100 pixel height. Alright, now if I will put some shorter width, alright, so now maximum width is 40 pixel. The content is not able to adjust inside, but still you can see somehow it managed because maximum width which you can pass here is 40 pixels. Similarly, if you can want, you can pass the minimum width as well. So minimum it's 40, but if content demands more, it can goes up to more. Alright, so these are the various changes which you can make while creating a box with some dimensions for a specific content of your DOM.
Now in this video of CSS3, we will see how to make the rounded corners from any border. So far we were going through the strictly rectangular shaped borders, but now we can make the edges, means the corners of those particular rectangles, as rounded. If you want, you can go for the same radius for all the 4 corners, and if you want, you can make the different radius for all. So let's see what all options are available here to make any particular box with the rounded corners. So let's start the practical implementation now.
So with the reference of the rounded corners in CSS3, here in this implementation, I have added 3 elements inside the style element, and these are basically the ID selectors. So what I have done inside, like in the first R corners one, I have passed the border radius. This border radius is something which is new in CSS3 and which wasn't there in CSS, but still you can see the syntax is exactly the same. So That is the only new thing. Apart from that, the background which was already there, padding, width, height, everything was there also in the CSS. But here the border radius is the new attribute which I have passed. So basically what I am doing here inside, I'll just pass the background color, which is somewhat greenish color would be, and nothing else. But if I'll come here, I'm also passing the border right here. Alright, I'm not filling the background with any particular color, but there will be a 2 pixel background, 2 pixel border with solid, which we know like solid, dotted, dashed, all the possible options, and with the same color. Padding, width, height, everything is same as of the previous one. And here in the last one, what I'm doing, I'm setting an image as the background of that rounded corner div. So for that I have passed the URL as I used to do. As I said, like most of the things which I'm doing here are all similar to as of CSS, just the border radius is something new. So using these things, I have added the 3 elements inside styles. Now let's come to the body, and since I have used the ID selectors, I will take 3 different divs of paragraphs or whatever you want. You can just take that and can pass these as an ID. So let's save it and come to the browser. You can see all the 3 rounded corners. Alright, so this is the background color, this is the 2 pixel border with the same color, and here I have passed the image. Since here I have used the repeat, alright, background repeat is repeat, so that's why after that it is getting repeated. So these are the things which I have applied using the rounded corners. Now let's see how we can pass the different radiuses for each corner. Like here you can see the curve which I have here is same with all the ones, but I can actually change the radius of each corner. So for that, here are the few modifications. Like I just passed single value in the border radius in the previous example, but now I am passing 4, 3 or 2 values. So let's see what is the difference. So as you can see, there are 4 values. So basically the 4 values will mean, that means different values for each corner. So let's save it and come to the browser again. Let's refresh, and here you can observe that 5 pixel, which is the smallest one, which belongs to this particular corner. Next is the 30. So here you can see 30 pixel. Then it comes to 50, this one, and then 15, this one. Alright, means starting from here 1, 2, 3 and 4. All 4 radiuses are different. But if I'll go for only 3 values, then obviously one will be sharing with some other corner as well. So here you can observe like this and this, these 2 corners are same, which are having 50, the common value. 15 is 15, that's the first one. Alright, 50, second one, 30, the third one as of the top, and since there is no value for this one, so these opposite diagonal corners will share the value. That means 50 radius for both. And when there are only 2 values, so obviously 15, 15 and 50, 50. Alright, so these are the ways using which you can use the rounded corners feature, which is newly added in CSS3.
Now, in this particular video, we will see how to work with the visibility of any particular content in your web page. Maybe at the runtime you come across a situation where you want to make some particular text visible at runtime, or maybe you want to make it hidden at runtime. Along with that, you may also want to make it collapse or expanded. So let's see a practical implementation of how to work with the visibility of any particular element in a web page practically.
So as far as the visibility is concerned, here I have taken a couple of paragraphs in which the first paragraph tag is the normal one, means as the normal text it will be visible over the browser, while the another paragraph is decorated with the style
where visibility is set to hidden. Means this particular text will not be visible over the browser. So let's save the changes and come to the browser, and here you can see only the first paragraph with the text. This paragraph should be visible in normal way, is visible in browser, but the other one is not. So basically if you don't want to show anything, that doesn't matter, like you can just remove that from the text. It's no use of putting this visibility hidden as such. But if at the runtime you want to show or hide some of the content, then definitely it is going to help you. So what I'll do here, inside the head section, I will write a couple of code, like inside the style tag I will use this p hover. Means in the hover event, when I will put the mouse pointer over the paragraph, at that particular time the visibility should be hidden. Alright, so let's remove this particular paragraph because it's of no use for now. So let's save it and come to the browser, refresh it now. So for now this particular text is visible, but as soon as I'll put the mouse over it, so you can see this paragraph is no more visible, and again you can see this particular paragraph is there. So this is how you can work with the visibility while working with the CSS.
As of now, we have seen how we can start making the borders and using dimensions, how can we change the size of the boxes. Now in this particular video, we will see like what we can do if the content inside a box is way more bigger than the box size, and maybe for some restrictions we cannot increase the size of a box to a great extent. So in those situations, we will add the scroll bars either vertical or horizontal or both as per our requirement. So let's see a practical implementation where we will see how to add the scroll bars along any box. So let's see the practical implementations now.
Alright, so let's continue with the implementation of scroll bars, and here what I'm going to do is, again I will make some dimensions with some height and width as we have done earlier, and in case there is some overflow of the content, I would like to add the scroll bar. So let's see what all I am going to do. I've just created a class called scroll with the display as of block, borders 1 pixel, solid red, padding is there, margin, top margin is there, width and height is there, and in case the content is getting overflown, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some scroll element, that is the scroll bar, and I'm using this scroll class right here in this div. You can put anywhere. Alright, here I'm putting it inside a div so that it will be giving you a box kind of look with this particular paragraph, and in case the size and the dimension of the div is not enough for this content, we will see the scroll bars as well. So let's see how it is appearing in the browser. So you can see, like, as the content is big enough, the margin is all there, which I have set in the CSS class. You can see the scroll bars are now appeared on the left, on the right, and on the bottom of this div. So anytime when you want, you can simply use this overflow attribute inside the particular element where you want to get these scroll bars and pass the value scroll, so that you will get the horizontal and vertical scroll bars at a time.
In this video of CSS, we will talk about the selectors. Selectors are basically something which will help us out in selecting the particular element or the particular portion of your web page. So here we have 4 kinds of basic selectors. These are name selector, class selector, ID selector, and universal selector. The name selector is something where you will pass the name of the particular tag for which you want to apply the styles. For example, if I want to make some styles for the heading h1 or h2, I will use h2 as the name of the tag, and inside these I will put all these styles which I want to put for that particular tag. Now second is the class selector, where I will put dot as a class selector, and that particular class of CSS will contain some list of styles. When on a document I want to apply that particular set of styles to a particular element, I will use the class attribute by passing the class name. So whatever styles I have passed in that particular class selector, that will all be applied on that particular segment. The next is ID selector. So ID selector is something where you will put these styles which is particularly for a single element, as it is ID selector and we cannot have the multiple ID with the same value in the same web page. So if for a particular div or something you want to put a style, you can use the ID selector, and universal selector is something where you will put the style for the complete DOM. So let's get started with the practical implementation and can see how these different selectors can be implemented.
So for starting the implementation of selectors, I will use the embedded style sheet just to make sure that you will see the styles and the tags on the same page, so it will be easier for you to understand. So now what I'll do, I'll start working with the name selector, as we have seen so far in the video that here I can pass any particular name of the element like h1, h2, p, paragraph, bold, b. Alright, so such things can be decorated by using the name selector, and we will use the name selector in the situation when you want that complete document should get the same styles for all the similar tags. For example, here in h1, if I'll say color to blue, then all the h1 of this particular tag will be converted to the blue font. Alright, similarly, if I'll say h2 to color green and text decoration to underline, so it will be reflected to all the h2 tags. Alright, like if I will copy and paste it again, so you will see all the h2 tags, whether I have written anything here or not, all will be decorated with the same styles. Similarly, you can pass the same styles to the multiple elements at the same time. For example, I have a couple of tags like for bold tag and for the italics tag. I want them to be decorated with the underline. So what I'll do, I'll just put the text decoration underline here, and you can see here B comma I, that means for the bold as well as for the italics I will decorate the text with the underline. So let's see how it will be looking like. So here I'll put a bold tag like this is bold. I'll close the bold tag, I'll break the line, and again I'll put another I, that is italics. This is italics. Alright, so here you can see both are coming with the underlines, whether it's bold or italics. Now you can also use the nesting here by the time you want to work with any nested things. Like for example, for paragraph, inside a paragraph I will put a bold tag, and for bold I want to do something like what I want to do. I want to say background color to lime green. Alright, so what it will mean that if I will put any bold tag, that will not be decorated with this lime green, as here already I have a bold. Let me refresh it, but here you can see there is no background. This background color lime green is only applicable for those bold tags who will be there inside a paragraph. So let's see, let's start a paragraph. This is a sample paragraph with a highlighted bold text. Alright, so now here what I'll do, I will start the bold tag here, I will finish it here. Alright, So inside this paragraph, I can see there is a bold tag. Let me close the P tag also. Alright, so let's come here and refresh, and here you can see this is a sample paragraph with the highlighted bold text, and here you can see it is bold, it is underlined as well, because here I have designed the underline design for the bold text. Alright, if you don't want to use underline here, so again you can come for inline style and you can use the text decoration to none. Alright, so here you can see for this there is no more underline. Alright, so this is about the name selector. So you can use these names the way you want. Now, the another way to use the thing inside a CSS is the class selector. The reason why there is a class selector concept, because there may be a situation where you want to put the similar styles for the different tags. For example, let me first remove this one. So what I'll do for the class selector, first of all, I will use dot, that is a class. Alright, and here I'll set different style classes. Let's say the first style here, I will use the color green and font Times New Roman. Similarly, let's put another style 2, another class. Alright, and here I will use again the same attributes with a different value, like it's red and font family to Corsiva. Alright, so now here I have not specified like for which particular tag I want to put these styles. So if I am saving it, you can see all the styles are gone away. Alright, so let's remove the text as well. I'll put some relevant text here. So what my requirement is, like here I'm putting an h2, that is a heading, like heading 1, and for this particular heading I want to put a paragraph. So this is a paragraph for heading 1. Similarly, I want to repeat the same thing for one more tag, that is h2 again, it's heading 2. This is the paragraph for heading 2. Alright, so now this is the updated text. Now what I want to do is, I want that this heading and its relevant paragraph should come in a similar manner, and this particular couple, like this heading and a paragraph, should come in a similar manner, but with the different styles which I have already defined here. So what can I do is, I will use the attribute class, and here I will pass the name of the class like style1. Alright, so let's close it now. Alright, and I'll do the same thing. See, I'll use the same style for this paragraph as well. Similarly, in this particular situation, I will again use a class attribute with a different value, that is style2, and I will use the same class, that is style2, for this paragraph. So let's come here and refresh, and you can see that both of these class, like h1 and h2, here means heading 1 and heading 2, are being decorated with the different classes of style. Alright, now what I'll do is I'll enclose them all inside a div. Alright, I'll put it all inside a div. Let's close this. For now it will not be reflected, but now let's add one more selector here, that is the id selector, and for id selector I will use hash. Alright, so like my div is the id selector. Id is actually an attribute in order to make a unique element in your HTML document. So what I'll do here, for making a div, I will use some of the attributes like height. Let's put height as 300 pixel, width as 500 pixel. Alright, and we'll put a background color here with the background color yellow. Alright, now here's how I have decorated this my div, but if I want to apply it here, what I'll do is I'll say id is equal to my div. So this id selector will be applied only to that particular element in the document which is being decorated with the same id. As here you can see, it's my div. It's just a unique feature to give it, but for this particular element I have designed this whole styles. So when I'll refresh here, you can see it's being enclosed inside a box with such things. If you want to use some padding things as well, you can do that. Let's say 20 pixel is the padding. So now this is how you can start. So these are the different selectors that we worked on, that is the name selector, id selector and class selector. So that is all for this video.
In this particular video, we'll discuss about the background. In background, basically, when I talk about, you can pass the different colors in the different ways, which we have already learned in the previous video. Along with that, you can also pass the images in the different ways, like sometime you want to fix background, sometime you want a movable background. As per your choice, you can pass the background image. So let's start practically what all we can do of designing a web background using CSS.
Now in order to set the background here, let's first put the background for a paragraph, and for doing that I'll put style attribute. I can do that here as well in the style, but for this I'm going inline. So style is equal to background color. So background color, whatever you want, like let's say I'll pass yellow. So that will basically change the background color to yellow. Since I specified the background only for this paragraph, so only this much portion is being having a background yellow. But you can see like there is a sentence, and after that I have added 3 line breaks. That's why you are getting this much height. Alright, now if I want to do the same thing for the complete document, I could have done this thing, like I can just put this style attribute here in the body. Let's remove it from paragraph. Alright, so when I'll refresh it, you can see the complete document is now having a background yellow. Similarly, you can choose any color of your choice, and if you want, you can also put the image as a background. For doing that, what I'll say is background image colon. Here I'll have to pass the URL of the image, and inside this URL function, URL attribute here, I'll pass like is a folder in the same location where I have saved my web page, and inside that I have bg.jpg image. So you will pass the URL of the image, and when I'll refresh, you can see this is the image which I wanted to set in the background. The text is still the same. Now if you want, you can just make some amendments in the same image. Like if you want to repeat this particular background, by default it is getting repeated horizontally as well as vertically, since the size of the image is smaller than the screen size. So what I can do is I can just pass the semicolon, and I can apply the attribute like background repeat. So if you will say repeat, that is the default value, means there will be no change. But if we'll say repeat X, only horizontal images will be repeated. As you can see here, vertically it's not getting repeated, since X denotes the horizontal and Y for vertical. Now when you say repeat Y, so there is no image right here on the right hand side, but it is repeated vertically. And after that you can also say no repeat. That will just add this image once. You can also set the position of the background by passing the attribute background position to any particular value. So basically what it will do is, when here you refresh, it is taking the margin of 100 pixel from horizontal as well as from the vertical. By default it was getting started from this coordinate 0, 0, but now it is taking 100 pixel margin from the left and from the top. So let's come back to this one, and I will put some more line breaks here just to make my document much bigger. Alright, so let's save it, let's refresh it. Alright, let me just remove this first. Let me remove this background repeat as well. So this is my page, and here you can see the content going on. Alright, now it's just line break, I haven't put anything else. But now there is one more thing, like if I want to fix my background, for doing that I will pass the attribute background attachment to fixed. So let's save it, let's refresh it here, and now when I will scroll you can see there is only content floating. Alright, let me put some content as well so that you can feel that. I'll put it somewhere in the middle so that you can see it scrolling. Alright, and here you can see only the content is floating here, but there is no change in the background, it is still. Alright, so this is about the fixed background. So these are the things that you can put in your paragraph or in the background of your whole document, where you can put the colors or you can put the images in a different way.
Now we are going to discuss about the gradient color in this video. As in the previous video, we saw how to do the manipulations with the colors in terms of their opacity. Now here what we will do, as the name says it's gradient colors, means it's going to be gradient, means we will use multiple colors and one after another those colors will come in a series and will give a very beautiful look in the output. So let's see what all options are available with CSS3 to make the set of colors as the gradient color.
So as far as the implementation of gradient color is concerned, here I have taken an ID selector with the name grad1, and later I am applying this to a div. Now let's see what all changes I have made inside this ID selector. So the first is the height. I want 100 pixel height for this particular div. After that, you can see that there are number of background options to all. So pink and green, I have added a couple of colors out here. So let's see how the output will look like. And here you can see that this is the output, right? By default it is coming from top to bottom, but if you want to change the direction you can just add one more parameter, that is left, like from left to right. So I will add left in all the ones. All right, so now you can see starting from left it is going towards right. So these are the couple of directions, like from top to down, from left to right. Similarly, you can give the styles for the diagonal gradient colors also. For that you will have to tell a couple of directions, like left top, that is the starting position. All right, so let's see the browser output. Like here you can see red, blue. So left top it is starting from red, and then diagonally it is changing its color, and at the last it is blue in color. All right, since red and blue are the two different colors out here. So these are the things where I'm using the linear gradient, like it could be from top to down, from left to right, or from diagonal. Now let's see some available options for the radial, means this, if I want some circular in the gradient, let's see how those work. So for that, rather than linear keyword, here radial keyword will be used. I'm using height and width both for now. You can just continue with the height also as we were doing earlier. And now here you can see the difference, like red, green and pink. All right, since there are three colors, you can pass the percentage, like how much width you want in each color. So pink 60%, green 15%, 5 for red. All right, so let's see the output now, and here you can see. All right, so this is how the radial gradient will work, starting from the last, means this one is the inner one, then the outer and the outermost. Alright, if you want, you can add more colors in the same method. You can also use the repetitive option for that. Like for example, if you have a couple of colors and you want them to keep repeating unless a particular time comes, you can do that as well. And how we can do that? Just by adding this repeating keyword. Alright, so now the method is repeating radial gradient. So I'm just using a couple of colors like 10% for yellow, 15% for green, and after that, because it's just covering the 25%, so after that it will keep repeating. Alright, that's why I'm using repeating out here. Alright, so let's see the output here. Now you can see, okay, so every time this green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow is keep repeating itself. So this is how you can work with the different options available with CSS3 regarding the gradient colors. Either it's for repeating, either it's for linear or radial.
In this video of CSS, we are going to discuss about the very important concept using which we can give some very attractive look to our web page, and that is the images. Images, as I said, can give you a very representational information along with some decoration as well. So proper formatting of image is one of the very important tasks of a web designer. So let's see a practical implementation where we will pass some different styles to the images. So let's start a practical implementation.
Alright, so now for putting the image, we know we will work with the img tag, and here we have the attribute called src, where I will pass the URL of the image. Now to give some styles to this, I will use the style attribute as always, and then I will pass a couple of things. Like here I'm just making some changes in the border, though we have a lot of new things which are there in CSS3 which we will cover in the upcoming series. Now here we see border, it's 3 pixel, means that's the width of the border. Dotted means there will be not a solid border, it will be dotted border of red color. So let's save it and come to browser. When I'll refresh, you can see there is logo followed by this red dotted 3 pixel width border. Now if you want to make it dashed, there are some more options. You can make it dashed like this, and if you want, you can make it solid as well. Alright, now for this I will use 1 pixel solid green. Alright, so these are the things which you can work while working with the images in CSS. As I said, we do have a lot of things while we will be working with CSS3 which we'll cover in later. So that is all about giving these styles to the images.
Now in this video we'll discuss about designing the borders using CSS. When I talk about borders, it is not just related to table, but you can pass the borders with the particular tags like paragraph, div and images as well. So whenever you pass a border to a paragraph or div, you can give a look of forming a box kind of image as well. So let's see a practical where we will try to create the different kind of borders using CSS along with the paragraph and the div. So let's start the practical now.
Now in this very example for the borders, what I have done, I have created 2 CSS classes for the paragraph tag with the name example1 and example2. In the first one, what I have done, I have passed the width of the border along with the type like solid, dotted, dashed. We can pass different variety of the borders. We will discuss what all possible values you can pass. Apart from that, I have passed the bottom color, top color, left and right color. As I just wanted to show you, like we can pass the different values for all the different kind of border, different sides of border, for top, bottom, left and right. So here I have shown you the values in hexadecimal format. You can also use the name of the color as you usually do. So this is what I have passed right here. But in the second example, means in the second class, I have just passed a single border color. So it depends. If you want to put the same color for all the sides, you will just say border color. Otherwise you will say border bottom color, top, left and right accordingly.
So here I have passed two paragraphs in the body section, and in each paragraph I have assigned the particular classes of CSS like example 1 and example 2. So let's save this and come to browser, and here you can see the different colors out there, like top one is red, green, and here in second one you can see the green border is there only. Alright, if you want you can also increase the width of the border so that you can see it more clearly. I'll make it 5 pixel, I'll save it, and again if I'll show you, you can observe the different colors, like it's somewhat black, red, green, and here it's blue color, while here it is just the green color. In another example, I am just trying to show you what all different varieties of border style you can pass. Like here I am keeping 4 pixel width common for all the borders, but the border style is getting changed every time. Like here it is none, means there will be no border. It's solid, dashed, double, groove, ridge, inset. Alright, and outset hidden. So let's save it and see how these different borders will look like. So here this one is none border, as I said, like since I passed none, so this border will not be visible, while this one is the solid as it was there in the previous example. This one is dashed so that you can see the dashed thing here. Double border, as you can see. Grooved means somewhat grayish like disabled thing. Ridge, inset, outset, you can see the shading here. In inset it's upward and here in downward. It is hidden. Hidden means the border is hidden for now, and here it is customized, like for all the different things. It is for top it is solid, for bottom it is dashed, here it is inset, and here it is double. Alright, so let's see here. Dashed, groove, double, and solid, all the 4 different borders are applied. Apart from that, you have also one more option, that is dotted. So I'll just change it to dotted just to show you. So here you can see this is the dotted border. So these are the different border styles which you can pass using the CSS class and with the attribute border style. And now here you can see that I'm making some changes in the border width, which I have done earlier as well. But the new thing which I wanted to show you, like apart from the values here like 4 point or 4 pixel, you can also use the keywords like thin, medium, thick. Alright, so again the last one is miscellaneous, having lots of attribute all together. Like the bottom width is 4 pixel, top width is 10 pixel, left is 2 pixel, and right one is 15 pixel, and it is of border solid. Alright, so let's refresh it, and here you can see the solid with 4 pixel, 4 point, thin, medium, thick as the keyword, and here borders with the different thickness all over around, like top, bottom, left, and right. So these are the things, these are some of the possible things which you can perform while working with CSS.